And welcome back to Bitcoin Advisors channel. My name is Chris, bringing it to you here from Westlake Village, California. It's bright, it's beautiful. It is still early out there, and it's actually not as bright as I would suspect. Happy hump day. It is Wednesday, and Bitcoin is giving people a bit of a hump here as we follow up on our 4-hour time frame. Pretty much a perfect test of the breakdown trend line and a rejection as we suspected. And I want to bring our attention back to this pivot right here at 26,700. Why is that important? Well, from a Fibonacci perspective, if we do a bearish retracement, you can see we have now closed back below the 618 fib, and that does initiate a bit more of a downside target right here at 26,300. Now, that also does line up with our 1618 fib from this low to this high after this bit of a consolidation here. And, well, I'd say this is kind of the next critical region to hold. If we can hold that 26,300 pivot, well, there's still a threat of a bounce. And again, boxes of peace and prosperity and death and despair, as long as we're below this box, well, pressure is going to remain to the downside. Above that box, well, we could start to talk about kind of revisiting the high and, Bitcoin. If it does want to mount an assault back up here at about 29,600, well, I would suspect the very next target to be up around 35,000. However, as long as we are playing out the downside, well, let's talk about what could have been the catalyst for some more breakdown today. But yes, U.S. home builder sentiment has improved to its highest level in 10 months this May. And what am I talking about? Well, housing starts. Building permits did come in lower than expected, which was bearish for the dollar, but you had housing starts month over month, and for April, both higher than expected, significantly higher than expected, 2.2%, higher than negative 1.5%. So that has given the dollar a bit of a kick in the pants to the upside. And based on the daily volatility explosion, we did say yesterday that if we could confirm this as a local high, you'd have those drives of bearish divergence hidden bearish divergence, and we could expect some more downside. However, dollar closing up with a green Marbozu, or whatever you want to call that candle, which did imply some continuations for today. And to me, again, volatility is exploding off the lows now above 25%. You expect the price to go in the direction of the momentum here, and next target is going to be 103.74. And probably a bit higher from there. So very similarly, using that Fibonacci tool here. So the 0.5, the 618, generally you would suspect the bull trap to be in that zone. So I'm going to put in a little box here for us. And back above there, well, you're going to mount a assault all the way back to 105. And I would say that could be in the cards, as volatility was extremely low for a very long time. And now it is exploding off the lows. Generally speaking, I think that was the catalyst for some downside action on Bitcoin today. And now we're just managing the threat here of an assault down to some particularly lower targets. NASDAQ is up for today. That's a point for the bulls. S&P also putting in a little green candle. And, well, Dow Jones, which has been the leader of the pack here to the upside and to the downside, filling in this nice little wick right here, and momentum is to the downside. Volatility is just beginning to expand. So looks like continuations to some downside targets, and putting in some drives of bearish divergence from this pivot right here. 1, 2, 3 gets you a shot to the bottom side of the range, and that's where we sit currently right now. And I do suspect that, well, with the dollar lifting off here, you know, stocks probably head down a bit more as this. The only thing bullish here is NASDAQ. NASDAQ coming up and tagging our box of peace and prosperity and death and despair. And again, that is right where the 0.5 and the 618 are coming in. And well, the next move, kind of at the top side of the range here, would be down unless we can get above this box. So, you know, it's okay to come up in here, but, you know, as far as I'm concerned, bearish sentiment across the board with banks failing, inflation higher than expected. We also had Bank of America release its latest global fund manager survey. And here are some of the highlights. So 65% expect a weaker economy ahead. Long big tech and short U.S. banks is considered the most crowded trade. And most respondents are underweight U.S. equities, and they are most overweight bonds, staples, and cash. Bond allocations are now at their highest level since 2009. Another highlight from yesterday, Tesla had their annual, is it annual or quarterly review. Tesla, you know, gives all their announcements and whatnot. The takeaway was that Musk says Tesla plans to deliver the first Cybertruck later this year. Oh, that would be cool to get a Cybertruck. They also rejected a proposal to issue a report on eradicating child labor from its cobalt supplies. Not exactly a point for the bulls there. All right, I think that's, we covered building permits. Tomorrow is jobless claims and home sales Thursday. Friday, Jerome Powell is going to give another speech. And boy, oh boy, did I write down a nice little quote from the video, not the video. I'm reading the book called Jekyll and Hyde. What is it called? Jekyll and Hyde. It's The Creature from Jekyll Island, and great little quote here. Says, the Federal Reserve is a legal private monopoly of the money supply, operated for the benefit of a few under the guise of protecting and promoting public interest. Bitcoin is Noah's Ark for your retirement. That's my quote for the day, sirs. And let's see if we can hit that downside target of 25,000. Put your bear rally cap on, as we want a little bit of a pullback here so we can add to our positions. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So we will see. Also want to bring our attention back to the 3-day that we called out. The 4-day. The 4-day, wow, just ticking below that previous low there is likely to get us that little zip down, and maybe we just fill in this wick here, but there is still a threat of a bounce here, and 12-hour momentum is still to the upside as long as we're above 26.8. Currently, we are below it. We've got 11 hours on the next candle. And what else I want to point out? Oh, yeah, gap fill. Gap fill initiated here. Gap fill, not quite filled yet. Probably got a little bit more to the downside on CMEs, and volatility still expanding. Momentum to the downside as long as we were below a 26,763. So the question is, do we bounce from the gap or not? Do we fill the gap and bounce, or do we shoot through the gap? And I do suspect that if we shoot through this gap, that, well, those downside targets are going to be initiated. Do we have anything else providing some context for more downside? Back to the bottom side of the range. Well, you guessed it, hidden bearish divergence of the 1, 2, 3-4 variety, and the 4 drive philosophy gets you a shot to the 1618. Looks like it's already been accomplished here. As you can see, perfect shot to the 1618. Next target down, if we break below it, and if depends on if you're using candle bodies or candle, yeah, so looks like we are going to at least get down to this level right here, the 2618 Fibonacci retracement. Let's check in on Ethereum. Oh yeah, underlying market dynamics. You can see open interest ticking up, people adding to those shorts. You can see the, what is this one? This open interest? That's open interest again. Let's see what the funding rates say. Funding rates gone slightly positive. Now you're paying to go long. Okay, inconsequential. We're looking for 0.1, 0.1 or 0.1 or negative 0.1 to see a high or a low, that type of thing. And the leverage ratio is climbing from pretty much the lowest level of the year. So was the leverage washed out? I don't know if it's all washed out yet. Now, fear and greed index coming in at a 50, pretty neutral. And keep in mind, tomorrow is jobless claims Thursday, jobless claims. So we had a bit of a surprise on jobless claims last month, and I do suspect, well, I'm just leaning towards the bearish side. So jobless claims, if they come in lower than expected, lower than expectations, then you would suspect the bulls to take control, continue taking control with the dollar and dollar ripping to the upside. Okay. Has Ethereum taken out our shoulder yet? No. This is the line in the sand, and Ethereum looking more droopy than Bitcoin. If we do close anywhere like that, would imply some continuations to the downside. So really, there is still a threat of a bounce here. This is kind of the same pivot on Bitcoin. You know, if it does not, you know, curl back down here below 26.5 today, well, then you would say maybe a bounce before some downside continuations. But yeah, this is essentially what you want to see. Perfect test of that trend line and grab some liquidity and shaft it back down. Everybody got long here, back down, and let's hope and pray, guys. Let's hope and pray for $25,000 Bitcoin. I know that might not be what you want to hear out there, but well, I know myself and quite a few others will be happy with that. Ethereum Bitcoin is still looking relatively bullish. Tether dominance, last thing, and we'll look at Bitcoin dominance. So as Tether dominance goes up, well, you know, looks like we had a deviation on this trend line back into the triangle, and yeah, I'm looking for this one to continue up. Well, you know, we need to see a daily closure back above 7.6, 7.8, and that'll do it for me. 2-day volatility, 3-day volatility. Oh, that's what I was saying on Bitcoin. We want to see this get above 25%. We don't want to see this snake back around. We want to see one more explosion, and that sets the tone for the bears to have some control for, you know, quite a few more days, and you know, perhaps even a move down to this green box. All right, I think I have given away. Oh, how's PP doing? Yep, PP is likely coming down to this level here. PP is, well, he's not doing so good. The frogs are getting boiled here, sir. Frogs are getting boiled. Doggy holding it up. Fetty WAP coin. We did have a bit of a lower target for Mr. Fetty WAP here, and suspect, I'll just put a little trend line in there. Sorry. Fetty WAP coin stacks, holding it up, hit the downside target. Very nice, very nice. And, you know, this one looks like could be a bit of a bounce here. This has been an outlier. Aptos did have a little bit of a fake out here. And shoving it back down, shoving it back down. So maybe a test of this trend line at some point if Bitcoin gets wrecked. Matic trying to hold it in there, trying to hold it in there. You know, break of this wick here or here is going to get the next decent sized move. Does not look like, well, yeah, we broke the major support, retested, got shafted back down. Another little Wyckoff accumulation box there. Near DYDX, looking droopy here. Back in the bearish control zone, crosses down below 203. GMX, how's our GMXs doing? Well, come down a bit more. Fill in this wick. I would suspect this wick looking to get filled as volatility. Well, volatility is now declining, so probably going to bounce sooner than not. Fair enough. AGIX, another big player in the stratosphere here, did not get the test of the breakdown level yet. Yeah, so that's it for today, guys. We took a look at, oh, look at CFX. CFX had mounted a pretty good assault to the upside there, and another one of the outliers, but getting stopped out with the silver cross right there. Mana putting in a big bounce off of, what was it, the Apple news. Apple's going deep in the metaverse. Everybody's going to be trapped in the metaverse here soon, so watch out there for some of these altcoins. Gold breaking it down, as we said, likely to pull back off of that top. Gold, my golds, what happened? Dollar goes up, gold goes down. Dollar goes up, gold goes down, and I am looking for this target to get hit. Let's just draw ourselves a nice peace and prosperity box here. Peace and prosperity or death and despair. Where does that occur? Well, this is your peace and prosperity. Somewhere between, yeah, that looks good, guys. That looks good for a bounce. And then we go to 2,300, suck in the bulls, trap the bears, and back to Bulltown. And Bank of America did state that they're looking for gold to hit 3,000 an ounce, up 50% in like the next 6 months, something crazy like that. Silver is heading down to our target, as we said. Just a little bit further, I'm going to bring out a box for this guy because, well, silver follows gold with more gains to the upside and more losses to the downside. So where's the box lie? Well, that would be the area to be watching for. And let's see what the 4-day says. 4-day volatility decreasing. So mean reversion bounce, and yeah, probably going to come down to that level. Somewhere in that zone, All right. How's my palladiums doing? Palladium's been a stinker for me. And Brent oil, your gasoline pills. Yes. All right. Too early in the morning for me today, guys. I'm going to let you go. I hope you enjoy your hump day, and I will catch back up with you tomorrow. Have a blessed and highly favored day. Take care.